All right, wonderful people. As promised, in studio with us, we have my ginger brother from another mother, Mr. Chris Hawley of Chris Hawley Architects. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning.
You just got back from Bismarck, right?
I did.
And what is it that you're doing out in Bismarck? Because this is a fun project.
So we just got started on the construction process for the governor's residence.
Ooh. You humbly say the governor's residence, but this is your biggest project to date, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. Mm-hmm.
Or close to it, right?
Most visible, for sure.
I mean, you're doing the Hatch Kitchen right now, too.
That's right.
And that is so up there with the governor's mansion. I mean, those are competing entities.
Yep.
Well, I don't know if sarcasm is really picked up well on the radio, but we're laying it on pretty thick. Chris, I want to rewind here. Just a couple of months ago, you took the stage for TEDx Fargo. Mm-hmm. How was that experience for you?
That was pretty terrifying, but just because that's probably the largest audience I'd ever been in front of. Mm-hmm. But in terms of an experience, it was great. You know
what, and you crushed it. I want you to give the listening audience here a little taste of what it was that you talked about, because you had a message in there that was subtle and strong. What was your overall message and theme?
Well, I think it was, the title of it was Crafting Legacies, but at the end of it, I think maybe the takeaway for the whole thing was basically making something beautiful, and I think that's really our goal at the end of the day with any project that we work on.
So you don't work just in design, though. You have a gamut of things that you do. What is it that your company and you as a professional are involved in?
Yeah, I mean, design is where it all starts. We have a construction entity. We do a little bit of development. I'm heavily involved in some restaurant projects. Work with I've got some family things that we do, kind of development projects or speculative things with too as well.
So you have a smorgasbord of opportunity. Is that right?
Yeah, I'd like to think so, yeah.
But you're also an avid biker.
I am an avid biker.
Hey, you took a trip out to Montana recently. I want to know more about that because I think it's fun.
Yeah, so what was it, the beginning of August, we took 8 guys out to Red Lodge and rode from Red Lodge over to Cook City, over the Beartooth Pass on
How
bikes.
far is that?
So that was about, I think that first day was close to 70 miles. And then we rode it again the second day from Cook City to Cody, Wyoming.
Wow. I don't even like to drive 70 miles, Chris, let alone ride bike. And what kind of elevation change do you see on a ride like that?
So the first day, I think we climbed close to 7,000 feet.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Was it harder than you expected?
You bet it was.
Okay.
Yep.
You casually gave me an invite, and I aggressively turned you down, so it was really nice. Those of you just tuning in, we have Chris Hawley of Chris Hawley Architects in studio, and you said you were in Red Lodge. I got to share my favorite Red Lodge story. So my background was in youth ministry before I got into real estate, and was working at a church, First Lutheran Church in Fargo, and we would always take these big trips over Christmas break to go skiing and snowboarding. We went to Red Lodge one year. And I am not a good snowboarder. Like, chubby people and gravity are enemies, okay? But we got on the hill, and it was just like sheer ice from top to bottom. I caught an edge on my first trip down, and I face planted and ended up having not even a severe concussion. I had mild brain trauma from such a wipeout. Here comes my partner in ministry, Raleigh Johnson, who a lot of you know in town. He comes up and sees that I'm just laying on the ground. So he snow plows into me and just covers me in snow. There I am bleeding out of my nose and my mouth, unconscious on the hill. My first and only ambulance ride was from Red Lodge. And so thanks for bringing up that scarred memory for me. It's really nice. So enough about my concussions. Let's get back to...
I made it out a little better.
Yeah, you really did. You really did. Chris, I want to know, because we talked about your TED Talk, and you talked about crafting legacy, but more importantly, just making something beautiful. Not everybody has a budget to be able to do a big project. Mm-hmm. So what are a couple of tips and tricks that you can maybe share with the listening audience who doesn't have the opportunity to build or remodel on a large scale? What is it that they can do in their own space to possibly recreate it?
I think one of my favorite projects, and regardless if it's for myself or for a client or for whoever, and even on a high-end basis, sometimes I think it's whittling down to kind of the basics first. Okay. And I think a lot of people like to layer stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff. And eventually you kind of wake up one day and go, none of it makes sense. And so I think you need to kind of clean up your space first and go back to kind of maybe the bare bones of where it began.
You're saying less is more.
I think so. Absolutely.
Okay. So if somebody has that house that they've lived in for 20 years and it feels like they've continued, and you said to layer on top of it, you're talking furniture, you're talking decor, you're talking paint, you're talking porcelain cats and everything else, right? It pools up.
Yep.
You're saying that somebody can simply strip that down to a very simple palette and feel like they have a new space.
Absolutely.
Do we have to pay you for that?
No.
Hey, free stuff today, everybody. Chris, I want to keep you in studio because I want to talk not just about the small things that people can do, but I want to talk and dream big with you because I think there's some people who maybe are saying, I'm ready, I'm ripe, I'm able to get that dream project. So let's dream together. But in the meantime, folks, I want you to go to livefargomoorhead.com and find out what your home is worth. This is Real Estate Radio with Erik Hatch. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio. As always, I'm your host, Erik Hatch, and I've been told by my producer that I have to sneak in a secret word in this segment. So my goal is that you find out what that secret word is, and as you do, I want you to go ahead and call us or email us. Let us know what you think that is. If you can pick out the secret word in this next segment, we're going to go ahead and give you a $20 gift card. So to the place of your choice. So pay close attention because I'm going to say a lot of weird things so you don't know what it is. In studio with us still, we have the man, Chris Hawley of Chris Hawley Architects. And Chris, I want to talk about dreaming big. If folks have a budget that supports some big dreams, what should they be doing with that in terms of real estate? I want to leave it to you to start crafting a legacy for us.
Boy, that's a pretty loaded question.
Yes, it sure is.
I think, it depends on their project, right? I mean, every project's a little bit different. Some of them are going to be about remodeling the kitchen, which, that always goes a long way for any project. And ironically, I think in the last week, we've probably got 10 phone calls about kitchens, right?
Really?
And most people...
I must be talking about the kitchen that the Hatch project is on, right? People are excited.
Top of the list.
That's right. Sorry, Governor.
I think for most people, that changes how they live in their house because there's so much time and there's so many things that surround that space that if that isn't right, that I think projects, people walk up to those projects and say, you know what, I don't want to own that, I don't want to live here, and so if you can reinvent that, I think people, the value goes up with that too.
Well, you guys have been great about directing us as my wife and I had this wild duck of an idea to try to figure out how to go and to remodel our kitchen. And as we do that, we've gone now to some local vendors. And boy, you wouldn't believe the level of service that we get. I was so afraid, Chris, as we got into this project, that you would rely on my ideas. Sincerely, if we're going to invest money, I want it to be something that it's not our ideas. First off, you and your team have come to us and you've listened really well. If we're talking about dreaming big, the first thing we need to do is to listen well to what the owner wants. And you and your crew have done that exceptionally well. Then you send us to vendors around town because we have to pick out our appliances and our fixtures and to make sure that the faucet matches the sink, which matches the lights. You talked about layers. And the layers that people do, Chris, right, is they'll have an idea in year 1 and year 2 is a different idea, but it doesn't match year 1.
Right.
It's like you stepped into my kitchen and saw what I'm talking about, my current kitchen. And so now we're with these vendors, and they come to us with ideas as well.
Sure.
And they tell us, and by the way, we picked out our appliances this week. This is exciting for me because on my range, Chris, do you remember what I said I needed?
Yeah, griddle.
You're dang right I need a griddle. I used to work at the Shack in North Fargo. Have you been?
I have.
Oh, that's some good breakfast food.
It is good breakfast.
And I got used to cooking on a griddle. Eggs and bacon and hash browns all on a griddle. And now that's going to be in my house.
Oof.
So you are welcome
every day.
I know. I know.
Shack.
I've gone from fat to fatter. This is really great. It's all your fault.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much for that. Maybe I will join you on your next bike ride.
Yeah, right.
So what I love is the level of service that you're bringing, Chris, to listen well and to help people dream big. Besides kitchens, what are some other things that people are dreaming big about and wanting to make a change? Or they're building a house and saying this has to be right?
Yeah, I think for certain vintage homes, like for instance, these, we're seeing a lot of projects in in my neighborhood where I'm at, where
A 70s at home,
late 60s, early 70s, all that's, those projects are kind of coming due and they're looking a little tired. And I think, some of that is kind of exterior remodel stuff. And that's kind of one bucket of project.
Yep.
And another one obviously is the kitchen piece. Bathrooms are another thing. That's kind of Fargo stuff, and then lake stuff is a little different. Lake stuff
Tell me
is,
more.
lake stuff. It seems like people are trying to figure out how to live outside as much as they can, and so whether that's overhead doors that open up to the lake or folding wall systems that kind of turn the whole house into a porch. I mean, oh yeah,
What?
yeah, sure.
You put a folding wall, like an accordion door, for an exterior wall in the house?
Yeah, actually, yep, we have, and we've done it between screen porches and the main house, so that the main house feels like it's open to the outdoors. And I think that's kind of the magic of lake projects.
Oh my gosh, why are people not doing those projects in Fargo?
That's a really good question. I think people are more willing to take risks at the lake than they are in town. In town, it's all about, for them, it seems like, can I sell this? Can I, is this approachable for another buyer? The lake stuff, they seem to think, well, I'm going to own this for my entire life, and then I'm going to pass it on to my kids.
Right.
Where Fargo's different.
I need to find somebody who owns one of those lake homes and adopt me, because that sounds like a nice thing. I can't believe that people are putting in those kind of like movable walls, and yet I love the fact that folks are investing into a unique lifestyle for themselves. Mm-hmm. What's the one recommendation you would give somebody as they consider a large project like that? Hire Chris Hawley. Is that what it is?
Yeah, right. And then I think the one thing that any project can get out of hand is you got to prioritize. What are the things that are going to make the most bang for the buck. And so sometimes we may have a list of 10 things that we all want to do, right? But then we may have to back up and say the first 3 are really the ones that are the heart of the project, and these other ones we can kind of talk about over time or phase them in. Otherwise, I think you can kind of get discouraged maybe by the process.
Chris, my hope today is that somebody listening says, you know what, it's time for me to make a change, either to build a new house or to refresh the house that I'm in, and that they contact you. So how will they do so?
Well, that's pretty easy. I mean, we have a website. You can certainly, get a hold of us that way. And, usually what ends up happening is people contact us. We set up a first meeting. Remodels especially, I always do a meeting on site in the space, because you really, it's kind of silly to talk about it unless you're kind of in there kind of with getting a feel for it.
Right. Well, if you want to connect, it's chrishawleyarchitects.com.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yep.
Otherwise, you can always contact us, and we would love to be the middleman. Again, livefargomoorhead.com. Chris, thanks so much. Have a great day. I will not see you on the mountain soon to ride bike.